All right, hello everybody. It's Lunar back again. If you haven't watched my last video, I recommend you go watch it. It's a big update on what's going on with me in my life right now and why I had been backed away from the channel for so long. But to sort of summarize it, I'm going through a lot of stress right now, both monetary constraints and life constraints, sort of keeping me away from the channel. So I decided today that I was going to start a new series that I'm going to probably title like Ludar's Voracious Ideas or some bullcrap like that because everything on my channel has to be a pun. But basically, it would just be general gameplay with me talking over it and sort of giving my ideas. And if you like any of the ideas I give in this series and you want to make them into, say, the mod or the videos or whatever I'm talking about, then do feel free to do so. And if you want me to sort of clarify more on any ideas I give in this series, hit me up on Discord or via email. Both are in the description below, and I will respond to you as soon as I can. It is by far the best way to get my attention. But if you also want to see scrap content, as well as sort of help me decide what I'm going to do in the future, do feel free to hit me to subscribe to my Patreon. I know this channel is still small, but by subscribing to the Patreon, you'll actually help me get some of this worry off my chest because I can start upgrading my PC with y'all's support. Anyways, all of that will be in the description below. Now, for the first episode, I realized there's no sound over the gameplay in the background. Uh, that's because I forgot to change my OBS settings. I forgot to set it to record the sound from my speakers and not my headset. So yeah, I'm just the best video maker, aren't I? Anyways, today I wanted to talk about Devourment, specifically the one for Skyrim. As you know, right now I'm using Devourment Refractor, and it is by far the best Devourment version so far, including inbuilt weight morphs, random nomming, locational morphs. It's fully compatible with things like the Serenian race and Yiffy Age, which, if you can't tell, I'm using. It is just by far the best, but I do have some issues with it. Firstly, I don't like that they removed the ability to get the small buffs from devouring certain races. If you've never played with Devourment before, in previous versions you would actually get buffs based on which race you devoured. And it was like a 2% buff, I believe. So, like, if you ate a Khajiit, you get 2% movement speed. If you ate a Nord, you get 2% frost resistance. And I believe they did it for balance reasons. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that being able to solve all of your problems by stuffing that problem down your throat is already unbalanced. So it doesn't really make all that much sense to me to remove those. What I would do would be to add a perk to the perk tree. Maybe make it a level 50 pred skill requirement that basically allows you to, for every two members of a certain race, or maybe every member, you absorb a small percent of their racial bonus, which would be the buffs you would get in previous Devourment versions. So it'd be a 2%, it'd be that 2% buff for each race you ate, but you would still have to unlock it later on. I feel like this could be a really great idea because it doesn't completely remove the buffs, but it also doesn't make them a from the start of the game thing where you could just immediately jack up your frost resistance. But it's also important to remember that in Skyrim, just because you have 100% fire resistance or 100% frost resistance does not mean that these things do not do damage. So just because you have 100% fire resistance doesn't mean you can stand in front of a dragon breathing fire here for an extended period of time. You will still take damage from those sources. It will just be heavily reduced. And when you keep in mind that things like fire do damage to you as you're affected with them, then it tends to be a thing that isn't really that unbalanced. And just because I have high movement speed doesn't mean I can Usain Bolt past everything. Eventually, you still have to fight things. Another thing I would add on would be like the previous level of that same perk would allow you to only absorb buffs from creatures. So, say, I don't know if anyone else ever played it, but there was a smaller Devourment version called Devourment Nature that would give you buffs for devouring certain creatures or creature types. So I would imagine that we could have a previous for this perk could be broken into two. The first level of it would give you buffs for devouring creatures. So say wolves would give you increased sneak, or trolls would give you increased health regeneration. And then taking the second level of that perk would allow you to absorb the buffs from general people, such as bandits and others that you devoured. I feel like this could be a really nice implementation of the way you could get those buffs. And it would also work hand in hand with the other idea I have of Devourment Quest. And I know what you're thinking. Quest in my Devourment? Ah, hell no. But hear me out now. I like the idea of for every 50 of a certain creature or race you devour, uh, the courier delivers you a note from a mysterious person who points you towards these super predators, basically, of that race. So, say you've devoured 50 wolves, and the courier comes up, and the note says something like, "Oh, I don't know. I've seen your voracious talents and heard about you in tales across the province, and I would like to point you towards something that could help you increase your power tenfold." And then you wind up hunting down this super predator wolf that, like, if it hits you once, it'll do a vor thing. And if you devour it, you'd get this like really big buff to your character. I like the idea of like taking these powerful predators and adding their power to your own. It's a really fun idea that I've been tossing around in my head for a while now, of just because when you think about it, with Devourment, your character's already becoming a better and better and better and better and better and better predator. If there were other predators in the world, wouldn't someone notice it? And that's also where another idea comes in. The idea of Maestic the Vormage, a character of my own creation. Keep in mind, he's a Khajiit mage who's been studying Vor for practically his entire adult life. And as a result, he's found a lot of things about it that others wouldn't have. So when he starts hearing about you becoming a better and better predator, he's the one sending out these letters. And eventually, once you reach level 100 in your pred or prey stat, then he gives you a letter to come meet him. And when you meet him, he has you run a couple of quests for him, gives you a couple of special devourment enchanted items, and teaches, and he would be the new person to teach you devourment magic, like some of the older spells that you used to be able to get that you can't get in refractors, such as force feeding or other ones like that. I feel like it could be a really great idea to just sort of tie in or make it an add-on. I also really like the idea of there being naturally found enchanted equipment in the world, such as necklaces or armor with these devourment enchantments. I know you can get devourment enchanted items from Mia and the College of of Winterhold, but I feel like you should be able to find them naturally throughout the world, and maybe like certain bandit chiefs would be wearing them or something like that. It's just there's a lot of potential here with Devourment Refractor, and I really feel like that some of the potential's not being made met due to some of the creators being like, ah, nah, we don't want to do this because balance reasons. And that's fine. I get trying to keep it balanced, but Vor is not balanced. No matter what you do, at the end of the day, I can literally soul trap the at my prey's soul. So there's not once you get to that level, there's really no more balance left to be had. So why are you bothering? Another issue I have is Yiffy Age and Devourment Refractor. As of right now, with my Yiffy Age, because I hate human predators, I physically can't get the unbirth or the breast vor or cock vor uh, belly textures to work. Of course, with cock vor, you kind of have to be naked, but you know, I wouldn't be doing that for recording purposes anyway. I'd be doing that for my own time because male predators are kind of hot. That being said, um, I can't get them to work. I assume this is just due to them working off of the normal character models instead of the furry ones. Uh, of course, I also have a few more ideas for mods for Skyrim. But yeah, if anyone knows how to get those to work, do let me know. Anyways, the final idea I have for a Vor-based Skyrim mod is I don't know how many people actually remember playing Pact Rat, but I still have it on my computer and I love Pact Rat. It is so fun. Basically, in the mod, in that game, you play as a small rat who is cornered by the goddess Pandora, the goddess of will. She then devours you and traps her in her own sort of like stomach world reality thing. It's very interesting, and you have to explore through it, defeating bosses and growing in power to maybe eventually try and break your way free of this stomach world you find yourself trapped in. I really like the idea of transferring Pandora and her stomach world into Skyrim. So like after you become Dragonborn, she hunts you down and is seeking to sate her desires with you, a legendary hero. I mean, you're the legendary Dovahkiin, the mortal born with a dragon's soul. If anyone could sate her desires, it would be you. And so you have to fight through this stomach world the whole time, being guided along by a couple of custom NPCs who are friendly towards you, such as the Bat Lady, and others, and it would sort of just add this other place that you go to. It's really cool, and I've got a lot of ideas for it. You know, adding the enemies from it into this 3D space. Once she devours you, transfer you to a different area, kind of like going to Solstheim does. It'd be like a different area within the game world. It's not entirely impossible, as other mods have done it. It would just be really hard to get it done right. Of course, I did talk to the original creator of Pact Rat, and his statement was that he had basically abandoned the project and had released the source code publicly. So anyone who wanted to do anything with it, so long as they credited him, he didn't care. And it's a very interesting idea I have, to be completely honest. Other than that, I don't really have any serious ideas for Devourment as a whole. I already like how it plays. I like the random nom mechanics is always interesting, especially when you turn it all the way up to 1 and set no prey limit and you just watch everyone in town start eating each other. It's always fun, though it does tend to break sometimes, and you have to like when you change the settings, you have to save the character, close the game, relaunch the game, load it that save. It's a bit weird, but then again, modding Skyrim is always a bit weird. The only other suggestions I would have come in the form of races, and most of them are Pokemon because there's a lot of Pokemon that I love and would love to play as in Skyrim. Right now, we have a Lucario race, though it has no belly textures for Devourment. We have a Zoroark and a Zoroark, which is a really good mod, by the way. It looks really good, and it has a custom belly texture. But in order to get the full texture without a breakage in it, you got to play nude, which is why I don't play it here on the channel because I don't know how to do censoring. Um, but the other one is a Guard of War, which is good, but it's her without that dress thing, which I really feel like should be added. I would love Braixen or Delphox. It is my favorite evolution line. I love Braixen. I love Delphox. They're really cool because they're psychic fire mages. Psychic fire mage foxes. It'd be amazing to see. There are a few others. I have a full list of Pokemon I'd like to see, but many are quadrupedal, so you'd kind of have to make anthro forms of them. Uh, anyways, though, I do have a lot of ideas, and if you like any of the ideas I mentioned here, do feel free to hit me up. I love talking about my ideas, and it's why I started doing. I wanted to do this series, is so that way you guys could get an idea for some of my ideas. So if you do like any of the ideas I mentioned here today, hit me up on Discord, shoot me an email, what have you. I look forward to talking to you guys, and I look forward to making the next episode of this series. So stay tuned. In the next episode, I'll be going over a Minecraft mod instead of Skyrim. So until then, I'm Lunar, saying have a wonderful day.